Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi there. Thank you, Gertrude, for the introduction. My name is Joyce. I am based here in Hong Kong. I'm a content marketer, and right now I'm 33 years old. So it's my pleasure to be here to share with you all a bit about myself as well as my story. Like mentioned, right now I am a content marketer here in Hong Kong, and I strive to help different entrepreneurs and small medium business owners with their content strategy, as well as educating them the content distribution via social media as well as digital marketing. However, why I'm interested in sharing my story with you all here is because I've also experienced and worn a lot of hats before I actually label myself as a content marketer. So ever since I was young, I've always been interested in telling stories, whether through drawing or communicating with different people. And I always find a great pleasure in that because I love connecting with different people as well as those who are like-minded. So when I first actually started out, I was born in Hong Kong, but then later on immigrated to Canada and had my primary school years there. And I remember very vividly that I was unable to speak any English at all. But then my primary school teacher enrolled me in the English as a second language course, where she let me just freely express myself. And from there, I started drawing a lot of different pictures, telling stories. And to her surprise, within a year, I was able to speak English quite fluently. And I take that as a very vivid memory of how content or creating stories really helped me personally in my life. So from there onwards, I studied as a student. I went back to Hong Kong for high school, and I was in an international school. And for those of you who know, the international schools in Hong Kong predominantly runs by the IB diploma, which is the same curriculum in the UK. In order to graduate back then, we had to dedicate ourselves hours of extracurricular activities, which we call CAS, and it's encompassed of creativity, action, and service hours. At the time, I was actually singing as a hobby, but I also competed at different competitions and was likely winning different awards. At the time, I was still very young, so I treated it more as an interest. But I was later on approached by different companies and asking if I wanted to sign on as an artist. At the time, I actually declined the offer because I really wanted to experience university. That was one of my goals. So I declined the offer. And when I was approached to do CAS in order to graduate, I thought maybe I should try something new other than singing. So I followed some classmates, and they said, "Hey Joyce, there's dance lessons on offer, and we're all going there. Do you want to try and come?" And I said, "Sure, that would be very cool and very interesting." And in the high school years, that's when I first came in contact with dancing, and specifically hip hop and street dancing. And I took my first lesson, didn't think much about it, but then I was instantly hooked. And from there on, it actually kickstarted my decade-long of career as a dance instructor as well as a professional dancer here in Hong Kong. Now, that actually marked the beginning of me really thinking about what it means to explore and fulfill all of my potentials and test out different abilities and see how far it can take me. And even though it's been a long time ago, from there onwards, what I labeled myself as, instead of what I call myself right now as a content marketer, is what we call a slasher. So that means it's an individual who has a lot of different interest and passion, and they explore those and manifest these into opportunities and potentially building them into career opportunities for themselves. So I started off dancing, and then I graduated high school and went on to university, where I was back in Canada in the University of British Columbia under the BA of Visual Arts. So I continued to draw as a student. I managed to sell a few paintings too, here and there, which was very fun. And I continued to dance. And I think that was when it really marked my personality as well, where I really recognized how I'm like and how I feel the most comfortable. Because at that time, I've only had 2 years of dance experience, but I was really ambitious and really wanted to, like mentioned, test out all of my abilities and see how far I can go. So I went into different dance studios and literally just went in and asked for the owner and said if they were hiring any dance instructors. Now, mind you, I only had 2 years of experience back then, so I did. Now that I think about it, I don't know where I had the courage to do so. But the boss then said, "Okay, well, I don't really know you. Do you have any experience?" I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, well, why don't we do this? If you're able to ask students of your own, so you have to market yourself, find students of your own, come to the studio and take a lesson with you, and let me see how you are like as a dance instructor." So I got on, and I took that as a challenge. And at the end, I did manage to find new students for myself, get into a dance studio, and started teaching my first lesson. And I think he was quite impressed. So then forward, he actually hired me as a dance instructor for the studio. And when different performances arose, he also hired me and asked me to dance for the company. Now then, I was a student slash a dancer and a dance instructor. And that continued throughout my university years. Uh, and after I graduated, I decided to go back to Hong Kong and continue. Now, once I graduated, I could have find a job that's more related to my BA in visual arts. But that proved to be a struggle. That was very challenging in Hong Kong. Visual arts was still a kind of a niche program in Hong Kong, and there wasn't a lot of people who had jobs that required my expertise and my knowledge back then in visual arts, art history, so on and so forth. So I continued to dance, teach, and set myself the goal that in Hong Kong, I would want to be able to perform on, at the time, the largest stage, which is the Hong Kong Hong Kong Coliseum. And then I strived for that goal. But at the same time, I was struggling to survive. I needed to have enough income to support myself as well as hopefully, support my family as well. So then I had to come up with other opportunities. And I started looking through job search websites and tried to match my capabilities with opportunities out there. And I ended up finding a role, which was a writing role in an online street fashion and culture magazine. I sent my CV, I went for the interview, everything went well. But the interviewer said, "Joyce, we really like you as a person and your personality, your background. You're very creative, but you don't have any experience. So sadly, we cannot hire you." Now, up to this point, if you remember my first example of how I just stomped in the dance studio, I didn't treat that as a no. So I saw that as an opportunity instead. And overnight, I started my own website, which is an arts and culture website called stuffs.com. And I started writing on my own. I started creating my own experiences, doing my own articles, and I started sending those articles to the HR department of that company. And over around 2 months or so, they said, okay, Joyce, you're very persistent, and we see that you have grown throughout the hiring process, and we're happy to give you the job. So I actually got the job there. And then I became the writer slash dancer person in this company. Now, fast forward, after that, I actually went on to several different roles, including becoming a reporter, an editor, and then working in-house as a social media manager, creating viral videos, and ultimately landing me as the content director at a advertising agency. During the time, throughout all of these full-time jobs, I continued to dance. And luckily, I actually managed to achieve my goal of stepping on that stage, the Hong Kong Coliseum, as a dancer. For me, it really made a lot of sense. However, it was not easy. All of these things that I wanted to do were driven by my passion, but at the same time, also, I had to work very hard for it. And at the time, there was a rise of social media, the internet, and I realized that if I were to want to attract all these opportunities in order to pursue all of my passion, I had to tell people about myself. And that's where it really landed me here, where I really believe in the impact of content creation. Not so much as to brag or promote yourself in such a way, but to really express yourself through the content that you create online. And it really does attract other like-minded individuals to remember you or recall you when any opportunities arise. So then again, after that, and during those years, around 7 to 8 years of my professional career, I was able to tell people that I was a video producer slash dancer slash dance instructor slash editor, reporter, so on and so forth. And it was definitely a lot of fun. It felt like I was living 3 lives at the same time, condensing all of the experiences I could have had in just a amount of several years. Now that I've experienced all of these different things, I really understood what I was very good at and what had the most demand and what I was able to offer as the biggest value to other people in the community. Hence, I resulted in becoming a content marketer and started my own company called Joyce Tsang Content Marketing. The goal of this whole company is really to share not just the expertise and the insights of content marketing and the glitz and glams of online marketing, digital marketing, and so forth, but my goal is really to hope and educate different people, especially entrepreneurs, or even what I label myself as still a slasher, and other small, medium business owners, the importance and the interest and the passionate part of really telling your story well with content. It's not just about driving sales and acquiring leads, and obviously those are very important too. But being able to craft your own story and present it to different people online is a very important and valuable life skill. And from what I see right now is there are many people, not just within my age range, but even those who are approaching retirement or still in high school. They're looking for different options in life and hopefully trying to explore their full potential. And me starting my business is really hoping to be that person there for them, to let them know they're not alone. And whatever I've been able to achieve in the past almost a decade now is something that they can take reference, they can maybe learn from my mistakes, and they can foster and pursue their passion and manifest them into different opportunities themselves. So for me, this is in just my story of how I've actually ended up as a content marketer, as well as a slasher and an educator that's hopefully going to inspire different people to explore their passion and leave a mark in the world with content.
Wow. What an amazing story. And the timing of you stepping into the space was just picture perfect. Right now, people are looking for opportunities to make a living from home. They're looking for opportunities to harness the power of social media. So, if there was an entrepreneur who is listening to us right now, they've just started out, have no clue where to start. It's overwhelming because there's so many different platforms that you can broadcast yourself. Give us three nuggets of wisdom or three steps that one should take to get started.
For sure. I think the first step that you must be very clear on is what we call your personal branding. Now, let's not get caught up with all the very complex or difficult to understand marketing terms. But in my definition, very short and very concise, personal branding is really who you want to present yourself as and who you are. So when a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start their businesses, they might get confused and think immediate about what is in demand, what can I supply, what can earn me the most money. Those are still consideration factors of you to consider when you start your business. But the first step is definitely to really consolidate and solidify what your personal branding is. And all of that definitely comes from your personality. So, from myself, when I talk to other people, they often say, "Hey, Joyce, you sound so passionate about what you do, and you're very good at simplifying complicated concepts." Now, I really held on to that and I incorporated that into what I call my own personal branding. I make sure that every single piece of content or every person that I come in contact with, they feel that as well. Wow, Joyce is very passionate and is good at simplifying different and complicated concepts. So that would be the first step that I suggest. Really lock down your personal branding, what you're able to offer, despite of what the market seems like they want. There's definitely going to be people who resonate with what you have on offer. So don't just follow trends. Be who you are and stay authentic. Now, the second thing is to understand your target audiences. Now, again, let's not get too technical about this here, but one of the things that I often tell my mentees, so I host mentorship programs as well for entrepreneurs and slashers who are hoping to start their own business or are struggling with their own businesses. The simple question that I ask them most of the time is, if you were to describe and imagine your perfect best friend, how would he or she be like? Are they somebody who's open minded? Are they somebody who can give you very straightforward criticisms? Are they somebody who is very friendly? Are they somebody who loves the outdoor, extroverted, introverted? Come up with a list of people that you think is the perfect fit with you. And at the end of the list, most of the time, what you would find is that actually builds a persona of the target audience that you want to and be reaching out to. So, of course, there's a technical way of doing a lot of market research and doing a lot of different online research to find these behaviors. But the easiest way for an entrepreneur to start off is imagine that. Who would be your perfect best friend? How would they be like? And use those qualities to identify and build your target audience persona. Now, the third thing is to align those two. So, your personal branding, who you are, what you stand for, and your target audience persona, how are these people that you want to attract are like? And then categorize them and align them and find out what content best fit them. So, for an example, let's just say you're like me, somebody who's very passionate, somebody who loves teaching other people, sharing ideas, and the best friend persona that you identified is somebody who is not very concentrated or focused on just driving revenue and profit, but somebody who truly wants to explore their full potential and learn. Now, in that sense, it would become very straightforward and very natural to create content that's revolving around those ideas, right? Creating content that tells people about how to explore your full potential, what experiences you have had when you have struggled with pursuing different passions? What is the behind the scenes of your success or of your failures, of your achievements and struggles? And use those content to attract these people that you have identified. So it's really about identifying your personal branding, your target audience persona, and trying to align them together to figure out what content you should produce for them. And the last tip within these 3 steps is stay true to that strategy. Don't get carried over and think, oh, right now people are getting very famous and popular in making simple tutorials or reaction videos. Maybe I should do all of that stuff. There's no way for us to do every single thing. You can explore with formats. However, your subject matter and the idea and the concept of your content should stay true to what we've just mentioned. And that should clear up a lot of confusion and make you start off on a better foot when it comes to creating content online.
Fantastic. Very, very practical solutions there. Now, everybody wants to get a video to go viral. What is the formula to viral videos? What makes these videos spread throughout the internet? How can one start in putting together a video that can go viral?
Now, viral videos, back in my day when I was still working as a video producer, there's definitely a formula to it. Now, considering algorithms, platforms, behaviors have all changed so much in the recent years, what I can offer are patterns and frameworks and ideas for you to brainstorm concepts for your video in hopes that they might go viral. Now, the first thing that most people kind of oversee is you have to have a healthy account. So a lot of people believe I can just create a piece of content, a video, I'll get it out in the world and it'll be well received as long as it's good quality, as long as it resonates with people. However, most people forget that it's being hosted on a channel or a platform that you do not own. So you actually have to know how to play the game well first. For example, if you're trying to get a video viral on YouTube, you really need to make sure your YouTube account is healthy in the sense that all of your bios are well put together, your links that you want people to land on are there, you have your banner images, your thumbnails are well thought out, you have all the alt text and the descriptions and the titles that make sense on that platform so that that platform also recognizes your content. That's definitely the first step in creating even any sort of content, despite the goal of it being viral or not, a healthy account. Second thing, when it comes to creating or wanting to create a viral video, you must understand very, very well the user and the target audience you're trying to get at. The easier way to get viral is honestly find your niche. Don't try and cater to every single person out there. Find that niche of people. Let's just imagine it being 100 people that are very, very, very relevant to the content that you're producing. Now, for example, for myself, let's just say I'm somebody who studied abroad, but I would label myself as still a Hong Konger. I'm from Hong Kong, right? So my experiences as a student abroad, somebody who specifically went to Canada, somebody who came back to Hong Kong to work, that's what that sort of specificality would be definitely very important for me to include in my content if I were to want to target a niche. Instead of just thinking about, oh, somebody who studied abroad might not be from Hong Kong, try and zoom in and figure out what that 100 people would be that would highly resonate with the content and the value you have to offer through video. Because once you hit those 100 people and they feel like, wow, you're speaking their language and you completely understand what they're looking for online, specifically on that platform, let's just say YouTube, then it's very likely they will share that video with their friends. They will share it on their own social media platform. That is actually the key of getting video content viral, not just being the first reach to the audience, but being reposted and shared amongst different communities, different groups, and then getting the word out there. So that would be my second tip. The third and the final tip of getting a video viral, apart from being a niche, is really to simplify. Many people think very complicated when they think about a video. It has to be shot in a professional studio. It has to be perfectly lit. Who is going to write the script? Who is going to be featured? This and that. But the most important thing actually is what we call in marketing a scalability. If you're able to make your video very simple, highly resonant to your niche, and follows the best practices of a platform, it should be very simple, easy to execute, easy to scale. As you can tell here on TikTok or on Reels, you see all these content creators pumping out heaps of content that follows a similar sequence or a similar formula based on what they're trying to say. Now, imagine if it was going to be super complicated, they're not going to be able to upkeep that and be frequently and consistently apparent on the platform. So it's really about simplifying it, just focusing on those points and making sure that your video can be scaled so that consistency helps you drive more reach. And over time, people might come back to your video and make it viral. It doesn't have to be, I release it now, it gets viral right now. What you see right now is a lot of viral videos. They've been built for years. They just hit that jackpot and people went back to it and found out more, found more. And that's where it builds that credibility and trust in your piece of content, so that ensures the longevity of your content performance. So those are some of my tips when it comes to attacking viral videos.
Absolutely fascinating. Now, as you know, the Her Story movement is a social impact movement. We like to inspire women to make a difference in the world in small ways. What is your social impact project? Do you have anything that you support? And why do you support it?
Yes, I've been privileged to have been referred by different entrepreneurs in my community to different NGOs, and to share my experience as an entrepreneur with different high school students here in Hong Kong, specifically Form 4, what we called our grading systems here, and above. So they're 2 years away from their main exam before they enter university, where they're still perhaps figuring out what they have their true passion in, what they want to do and dedicate their life into, or what they want to study after they leave high school. There are several different NGOs and different social enterprises that I work with, and volunteer to go to different high schools and share my experience or answer different questions that these high school youngsters have when it comes to career planning, interviewing, looking for a job, or even specifically those who are interested in marketing, digital marketing, social media marketing, and content marketing. Now, one very specific example, and the one that's most memorable for me, is the association, the NGO that I work with quite a bit, called the Cocoon Foundation, here in Hong Kong. They have different modules that they provide for different high school students, where they guide them through the importance of an entrepreneurial mindset. So it's not just about starting your own business, but being able to have that sense of, there is an option for me to create something that I have a passion in as well. I don't have to just work for somebody, or I don't have to just conform to different common working requirements here, but I'm able to exercise my abilities and my passion and to see what I can start myself. Now, that foundation has been um, highly interesting for me, because I was able to be in touch with a lot of different, very amazing young people here in Hong Kong, and I'm constantly being amazed by how dedicated they are in trying to do things that expresses their own passion. So, for example, some of them have countless roles already just as a high school student, being the committee member, leadership, group leaders. They started different associations or communities where they bond with different youngsters, perhaps under activities that they like. Or some of them have even started their own e-shops and started selling their own products, designing their own items and selling them on Instagram or on Facebook or on other different platforms. And what I can tell from those experiences is that they know what they want to do. They are very sure. They have the grit. They have the mentality. They have the thinking. All they're lacking is somebody to guide them, or at least someone to, like I mentioned earlier on when I shared my story, to make them feel less alone, so that they don't feel like they're on this just by themselves. And if they make a mistake, then they have to struggle through it all by themselves. And this is kind of the social impact that I am very invested in supporting. I really want to be a role model, or at least some sort of figure like a friend or a partner, for these young people here in Hong Kong. Regardless of their background, they could be studying in a local school, an international school, whatever it is. Um, from even from different countries, if they're minorities here in Hong Kong, or Chinese people, what it is, to have them understand that, oh, somebody else has gone through it and challenged the norm, did a lot of different things, wore a lot of hats, set different objectives and goals, and at the end of the day achieved it, but
Yeah.
with hard work. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love it. So let me end now with one final question. If time was an illusion and I could take you into the future, you're now 100 years old, you're sitting in your rocking chair, surrounded by your dogs, your cats, your children, your great grandchildren, and you're reflecting back on your life.
Mhm.
And I could teleport you to have a conversation with that 100-year-old you. Based on how you're living your life, what would you say to this wise woman who's led you to that point?
That's a very good question. I've actually never been asked such a question, but the first thing that comes to my mind is this conversation I had with my father just right before he passed away. He asked me, Joyce, you can do whatever you want in life, but the one thing I really want you to ponder and think about is, what is it that you are sure you're able to achieve as the top 5% within that career, that industry? Are you sure you're able to offer the most value if you're going to dedicate your work in that industry? Now, as I mentioned before, I was a dancer and I really enjoyed it. But to be very honest, I immediately knew I wasn't going to be that person within the 5% top realm of dancers. I've seen so many other dancers who work double, triple, just a lot more harder than I do. I treat it as a fun thing, and I'm happy that it has earned me a lot of different experiences and a good amount of income. But I knew that wasn't me. So that's why I tried so many different careers just to find that 5%. Where can I, Joyce Tsang, be able to offer the most value to those different people with the skills I have? And it ended up being content marketing, or so at least what I think right now. Maybe my 100-year-old self would disagree. There's maybe other stuff that I would do later on in my older years, but right now this is what I think is the realm of knowledge that I can offer the most. So then I would really want to say to my 100-year-old self, did I get it right? Is this my top 5% of being able to offer the most value? Because this is my life goal. I really want to find out what it is that it can place me in the top 5% of all these people who are all trying their best to do and offer their value there. But I'm somebody who was in the top 5. People will remember Joyce Tsang did a lot to offer different youngsters or people on the knowledge of content marketing.
Fantastic. Joyce, it's been such a pleasure talking to you tonight. Thank you for all of the nuggets of wisdom, the knowledge that you bring and you share with the world. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. We are attracting some really smart, phenomenal young women who are sharing how to harness social media, how to use the internet effectively. So if you need help, get in touch with Joyce. Her website is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Go onto her website, get in touch with her, and don't try and reinvent the wheel. Learn from somebody who's done it before, who knows how to help you do it the smart way. Thank you again, Joyce. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.